All right, good afternoon. I think we are ready to make a start. Thank you so much for coming in such a good number to our side event. We know it's Friday, it's been a long week, so we really appreciate you taking the time to participate in this side event. I hope you had the chance to grab some food before they took the tables away very quickly. So hopefully you were fast enough. I did warn you in my intervention that you had to walk fast. So thank you so much again for coming. I'm Giacomo Persipaoli. I'm the head of the Security and Technology Program at Unidir. I'm very pleased to have you here with us to give you a little bit of more of an explanation of what I just briefly mentioned during my intervention in the room, which is the recent data exchange that has been formalized between Unidir's Cyber Policy Portal and GFC's Civil Portal. This is a very practical and clear demonstration of how existing tools, if leveraged properly, can really work well to give you, our stakeholders, an even better service, better information, easier access, etc., and most importantly, multiple ways of getting to the information you're after. Sometimes we see that many of these tools are kept kind of air-gapped, and there aren't many different ways that lead you to the same information. This is another example of how you can actually do that very efficiently. So for the agenda of today, we're going to have very quickly my colleague Lenka here on my left, who is the project coordinator for the Cyber Policy Portal, that is going to give you a quick demo of the portal itself and this last feature. We're not going to give you a full explanation of everything that the portal has to offer, or we will probably still be here at 4 p.m. So today is really just about this new feature, but if you want to know more about all of the wonderful things that the Cyber Policy Portal can do, please be in touch with me or with Lenka after this event, and we'll be very happy to show you more. You also have on your tables, you should have a little kind of a cheat sheet here that shows you some of the most prominent features. But again, feel free to come to us after this meeting. And then after we've seen Lenka's presentation, I'm very happy to be joined by such a great selection of speakers that will bring different perspectives on the initiative. Chris Painter, who all of you are well known to this community, so I won't go with lengthy introductions, but very happy to have you here with us, Chris, to also bring the perspective of GFC and why you think that this collaboration is important. And then we really look forward to hearing from state representatives why they think that having all of this information readily available can be useful in exercising their policy decisions, whether it is to provide cyber capacity building support, or whether it is to flag cyber capacity building needs. So the floor will be open for you to ask questions, comment. Constructive feedback is always welcome. Praise is even more welcome. So if you have good things to say, please do so. And I just would like to once more reiterate our thanks to all of you for all of the wonderful words that you've been spending over the last few days in support of our work. So without further ado, I'm now going to, oh no, sorry, there is one more slide, right? Of course. There is one more slide that I should cover. As I mentioned already today in my intervention, the Cyber Policy Portal isn't new. So it's been established in 2019, and since then it went through, and we'll see, we have a slide on this later, a continuous process of improvement, both in terms of content, features, and accessibility. And this process paid off, because as you can see from the slides, every single multilateral process that touched on cybersecurity since the portal was established has acknowledged its added value, whether as a confidence building measure, like it was recognized in the APR this year and included as in the list of global confidence building measures, but also as a powerful tool to help and support capacity building efforts as well. So the data exchange that we've formalized now with GFC and the Civil Portal is an example of the sort of activities and collaborative approaches that could be done in the future, again, to add value. And by all means, this is not to say that discussions on potentially a new portal are without merit. This is just to say that between now and when you will decide what to do with the potential new portal, you can still take action like today, this afternoon, and use these tools for ultimately the benefit of all. The chair mentioned on the first day, I think he mentioned something to the effect of we shouldn't be measuring progress from a UN perspective and a process perspective. We should be measuring progress in terms of the impact that we can achieve. Well, if you want to achieve impact, you can do that already today without waiting 3 years until a new portal is set up. With that, I'm now going to give the floor to Lenka, right, on Cyber Policy Portal. Sorry, one last thing. With only one microphone here, it's tough. If you want to follow along, there is the QR code, so please take your cell phones, scan, and follow along.
Thank you, Giacomo, for the kind introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to see so many familiar faces in the room. So today, we will start with a brief introduction of what is the UNIDIR Cyber Policy Portal. For those of you that are new to the tool, you can access the portal using the QR code you can see on the screen. I will also briefly mention some of our other digital tools, such as the database and the National Survey of Implementation. And afterwards, I will invite you to join me for the live demonstration to introduce the data exchange project with the GFC Civil Portal. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we are showcasing the development of the digital tools from the launch of the portal in 2019, development of the National Survey of Implementation, expanding portal's availability in all UN official languages, and launch of the Cyber Policy Portal database, and last but not least, the recent data exchange project we've been talking about. Next slide, please. So what is the UNIDIR Cyber Policy Portal? The Cyber Policy Portal is a one-stop shop or an online reference tool that maps cybersecurity and cybersecurity-related policy landscape. It provides an overview of all 193 UN member states, as well as a select group of intergovernmental organizations and multi-stakeholder instruments and other initiatives. Its purpose is to promote transparency and facilitate information exchange. The portal is mainly designed for you, for diplomats, policymakers, but also security policy experts and the research community. Next slide, please. As mentioned before, the portal has been existing for some time. It was launched in January 2019 by the Security and Technology Program at UNIDIR that continues to maintain and further develop the tool. In both 2019 and 2021, the portal has been selected to be showcased during the Paris Peace Forum. And we also had a chance to showcase the portal this year while presenting our new digital tool, UNIDIR AI Policy Portal. Next slide. As mentioned by Giacomo at the beginning of the presentation, the portal has been recognized as a confidence-building tool by the consensus reports of the 2021 OEWG and GGE, and acknowledged as a global CBM in the second APR of the OEWG. Just very briefly about confidence-building measures. So the concept of confidence-building measures is well established. It was born during the Cold War period, and it's finding a new application in the field of ICTs. Confidence-building measures help to strengthen international peace and security by increasing transparency and trust among nations. And building trust helps to decrease and mitigate potential tensions. Next slide, thank you. Cyber Policy Portal is not only a recognized confidence-building tool, but also helps to build capacities of states and promote research in the context of cyber policy landscape. The portal provides an overview of current practices in cyber policymaking by including the latest policies across the globe. We also invite policymakers to make use of several features designed to help and analyze individual profiles, such as search function, compare function, filter feature, and availability in all UN official languages. Next slide, thank you. So you may be wondering, how do we gather the data on the portal if we are mapping, among other things, cyber policy landscape of all 193 UN member states. The data is drawn from official, open source, and voluntarily submitted material. So it's our team and at UNIDIR working on the desk research. We also regularly send requests for updates to states, intergovernmental organizations, and partner organizations. And we are pleased to share that we are increasingly receiving submissions from states that decide to share them with us on their own accord. So how can you contribute to the portal? So your feedback on the content of the portal is absolutely essential to us. So you can share with us your updates via dedicated contact form you can see on the slide, or directly at cyberpolicyportal@un.org. If you are interested to learn more about the actual updates on the portal, you can check our social media. We are very active on Twitter and LinkedIn, and we are also including submissions to the national profiles in the UNIDIR monthly newsletter. Next slide, please. So before I move to the data exchange project, I would like to briefly invite you to also visit the National Survey of Implementation that is accessible from the UNIDIR Cyber Policy Portal. Next slide. The survey was launched in March last year with the kind support of Australia, and it allows the UN member states to conduct regular self-assessment of national implementation of the recommendations from 2015 GGE report. It serves as a baseline assessment tool and allows member states to track their progress over time. It supports transparency, information sharing, and confidence building by giving member states the possibility to make their submissions publicly available on their national profiles on the Cyber Policy Portal. It can also support member states in responding to the General Assembly's invitation to continue to inform the Secretary General of their views and assessments on the issue of developments in the field of ICTs in the context of international security. Next slide. This survey is divided into 4 parts. We have a section dedicated to international law, section dedicated to norms, rules, and principles for responsible state behavior, and also section dedicated to confidence building measure and capacity building. So looking at the capacity building section you can see on the screenshot, we can see that the survey provides an option for the member states to provide information about any capacity building or international assistance initiative they requested, received, or provided, as well as sharing important information on lessons learned from the previous projects. The survey provides also a number of fallback mechanisms for you, for the users. Users may generate an empty PDF. You may generate a draft PDF in case you would like to share it with some of your colleagues. And you can also save your progress and generate a unique link to come back to the survey later. And as mentioned before, once the survey is completed, users have the option to submit the completed survey to UNIDIR for publication on the Cyber Policy Portal. Next slide. So I will also invite you to visit the UNIDIR Cyber Policy Portal documents database that is as well accessible from the Cyber Policy Portal. The documents database was launched during the March session of the OEWG this year. Accessible from the portal, the database is a repository of documents that are referred to in the profiles of all 193 member states on the Cyber Policy Portal. As of today, it includes 1,528 PDF documents available on the UNIDIR Cyber Policy Portal. It allows for an advanced search in the documents. It includes documents in 55 different languages, from English to, for instance, Czech or Malay and other languages. With the built-in OCR, it allows for an easy search within the documents. So, for instance, if you go and search by capacity building, we get 537 results. We also labeled the English documents with 21 topic labels, such as critical infrastructure, gender, and so on. The database also offers pre-filtered view for the cybersecurity strategies and views on international law-related documents. And now I will ask my colleague to switch to the live demo. Perfect. So I hope everyone can see the screen, also participants that are joining us online. So today we have an exciting announcement to share. As you could see on the development timeline of the portal, we continue improving the tool. Just last week, we launched a new cooperation with GFC, focusing on data exchange between the Cyber Policy Portal and the GFC Civil portal. The aim of this project is to further support information sharing in capacity building. So now, what do we mean by data exchange project? So when you navigate the cooperation section on national profiles within the portal, you will notice a substantial addition. Nearly 900 capacity building projects have been seamlessly transferred from CIBIL to the Cyber Policy Portal. The primary goal of this project, as mentioned before, is to further support information sharing in capacity building. So I will invite Giacomo to go to the profile of Australia, just to quickly showcase the information we have available. So for instance, on the profile, we see that the profile is divided into 4 main categories. This applies to all profiles on the Cyber Policy Portal. Each category has a number of subcategories. So for instance, a cybersecurity policy category has a strategy documents subcategory that includes documents such as the recently released Australian cybersecurity strategy that was also mentioned by Australia today. As mentioned before, the capacity building projects transferred from CIBIL are available in the cooperation section of the portal, specifically in the select activities subcategory. And here we are. I hope you can all see well. So on the profile of Australia, you are able to see an addition of 71 new summaries transferred from CIBIL to Cyber Policy Portal. You will be able to recognize these projects by the CIBIL logo in the summary. So what kind of information are you able to find? You are able to find whether the country is a beneficiary or a funder of the project. You will have access to basic project details, including project title, the list of beneficiaries and funders, as well as source link, leading to the detailed information on the CIBIL, and when data set allows, also duration of the project. So while working on the data exchange project, we took into account the various features that already exist on the Cyber Policy Portal. So as mentioned before, the UNIDIR Cyber Policy Portal is available in all UN official languages to allow for greater transparency of information. This includes the static contents on the portal that was translated with the help of the UN Translation Unit, but also the individual summaries we update on regular basis. So we also applied the Google Translate to the projects we are transferring from CIBIL. So as we can see on the screen, you can easily translate the basic information, the project title, and so on about the project to Arabic, Chinese, French, Russian, and Spanish. The capacity building project will also be available in the PDF export for the national profile. And separately from that, I would also invite Giacomo to go to the landing page so we can showcase the filter feature, because the capacity building projects are also included in the filter feature that allows to filter by 16 various filters. We can filter, for instance, capacity building projects and narrow this down to funders. We also improved the filter feature based on the UNIDIR Artificial Intelligence Policy Portal. It now also includes the option to toggle between the and or logic to allow users filter by the logic of their choice. You will also be able to find the projects using the content search on the portal. No worries. We have a technical difficulty with the presentation. Thank you so much. So a couple of you mentioned the content search before during your statement, so we just wanted to highlight that the content search is available here as well. So for instance, we can search by cyberspace fellowship, and the search provides information based on the summaries and titles on the portal. And last but not least, I also wanted to mention As mentioned before, we have the national survey accessible from the portal, but we also have the database. So we are currently working on the inclusion of the documents supporting these capacity building projects to the database. This will be available also in the upcoming days because we are labeling them based on their content. And this time really last, I would like to highlight that we updated the portal to a new advanced platform. This is particularly crucial in light of the significant data addition, ensuring a seamless and responsive user experience. So this is all from my side, and we'll be happy to answer any questions about the portal, and you will also find the fact sheet on your desk. Thank you, and now back to you, Giacomo.
Thank you very much, Lenka, for this wonderful overview of the portal as a whole, but also the latest edition. And now give the floor to Chris. Over to you.
And I think I have some slides as well, right? Hold on a second. One moment. It's always dangerous to do a live demo, but that worked well, so thank you. And I should note, as that's being teed up, is that, you have the summaries on the Unidare portal, but then you can click the individual projects and it'll give you much more depth. Not always in every language will give you a lot more depth in terms of what the Sybil portal then can give you. So you have really one entryway into all of this information. So now, similarly to what we heard before, the Sybil portal, you can click on this link or this QR code to follow along. And we'll go to the next, well, I'll give everyone a chance to do that. All right. What? Do you want to go back here? Okay. Photo away. Okay. All right. So we'll go to the first slide. Similarly to what is the Unidare portal, what is the Sybil portal? The Sybil portal was established in 2019 as a central knowledge sharing platform specifically on international cyber capacity building. The portal contributes to a stronger global cybersecurity and cybercrime capacity by facilitating information sharing, increased transparency, and helping capacity building projects to be more effective and visible. It makes it easier for all to access information on projects, good practices, guides, tools, webinars, and events. And this information helps projects achieve really better results, supports coordination efforts, which are critical in this space. I know from my own experience, sometimes you could have some projects that are similar, don't even know each other exists, and it really is important to have that coordination. And to avoid duplication and achieve really more collaborative partnerships, which I think, given the not great amount of resources we have, all of us have, and we want to maximize that as much as possible. We currently have information on about 900 projects, out of which 150 are currently active. And of course, that's constantly being updated and increased. Go to the next slide. Sybil features. Sybil has been developed with the community in mind and based on feedback, ideas, and consultations with users in various regions. New advanced features have been added, just as the Unidare portal has been constantly updated, the same with the Sybil portal since it was created over the last 2 years to improve the user experience and ensure that data can be identified and drawn from taking into account the user's interests and needs. And I'd say, similar to what we heard from Unidare, we always are looking for feedback from all of you to how we can make this better as well. To provide a couple examples of how Sybil's data is being used, at the start of a project implementer could use the data on Sybil to conduct a stakeholder and project mapping in the countries they are working in, so that helps them tremendously. The mapping then helps them identify other implementers with whom they might want to coordinate or work collaboratively in ways to make their activities more efficient and avoid the duplication I talked about earlier. Data on the Sybil portal has been used to indicate levels of international cooperation and international indices as well, and so that helps all countries get a better handle on what's going on. And national CERTs, computer emergency response teams, have found useful tools and guides on Sybil that is a free resource that can be used to mature and increase the efficiency and the capacity of CERTs. And I should emphasize that you don't have to be a member. We'd love you to be a member, but you don't have to be a member of the GFC to have full access to the Sybil portal. It's a publicly available portal. Go to slide 3. The content on the Sybil portal is organized according to 5 priority themes of capacity building that was identified in the Delhi communique that the GFC issued in 2017. So named because we actually had the meeting in Delhi when we launched that, and that was one of our annual meetings. There are three main sources of data. One, voluntary submissions like Unidir. We have a civil project upload template that we work closely with donors and implementers to assist them in submitting information. We also do a lot of targeted outreach. I mean, I think one thing that's important to understand about all these portals is you love to get the voluntary submissions, but sometimes you have to have a pull function. You have to actually go out in the community and ask for this. And that's resource intensive, quite frankly. I think we've all found that's not an easy task. That requires work to actually get that. And the more content you have, the more complete and usable it is for everyone. So that outreach could be to new people who are putting in information or updating existing information. Because another important thing to realize about portals is, if you have a lot of legacy information, that might be helpful historically, but you need to continually update this. It's a continual process. These are not static documents. We use, like Unidir does, open source information gathering as well. We have found project information, resources, and events most typically shared in, among other things, press releases, official websites, and on social media. We have we have a number of GSC meetings. We have 5 regional meetings a year and 1 annual meeting. Obviously, the annual meeting is also once a year. And those are used as another resource, another opportunity to gather information for the portal. Those events particularly, we have the International Cybersecurity Capacity Building community come together. They all convene. And it's great. Those are great platforms in and of themselves for sharing information about capacity building efforts and also populating the portal for intersessional work. The Civil portal has really, in my view and all of our view, tremendous value to add, both because it increases accessibility of available information and expertise, and because it can support the coordination of efforts when capacity building resources are scarce, as I mentioned before. However, like the Unidir portal, or really any portal, it's dependent on community's input to provide updates on projects as well as feedback and suggestions on what they'd like to see in the portal, and I'd encourage all of you to do that. Some organizations, and this won't be a surprise to anyone, some organizations are better at supplying information than others, shockingly. And that's always been true in my entire career, that's been true. And some are more interested in sharing projects than others, but we're trying to create a culture of sharing, a culture of all of us sharing because it makes us all stronger. So we're really trying to actively encourage folks to share information because we think that not only helps the other people in the community, but helps them as well. Go to slide 4. Oh, there it is. We have a little delay built in. So one thing in particular is mapping capacity building projects. This is an important thing because that helps us identify gaps, also helps us meet demand. And the Civil portal data is great for finding insights, and one of them is in the field of international cyber capacity building that has been growing really dramatically over the last few years. It adds value by allowing actors to map and gain a baseline understanding of capacity building projects and a snapshot of the landscape, which often involves actors across sectors that can quickly become pretty complex if you don't have a tool like this to help navigate it. On the left side of the screen are some examples of charts we produced for regional meetings, usually used to set the scene for further discussions. We arrive at these visuals by aggregating data from a specific region to produce insights such as which countries have the highest concentration of capacity building projects, what capacity building issue or theme, or what ongoing projects are addressing. And so that summary, you have the raw data, but the summary is very useful as well. On the right side of the screen is our submission to the UN capacity building mapping exercise in smaller type. So I don't expect you to read that there, but it's available because you all know the mapping exercise under the OEWG is continuing. We made a very robust submission there, and it's really based on data in Civil, where we identified a large number of ongoing projects to help the mapping exercise, and also looked at the global landscape and identified projects on a global scope and on a regional scope. These examples illustrate really the multi-stakeholder and layered process of capacity building that includes not only states, but also many, many other involved actors. And states are obviously very active in this, but private sector, civil society, academia all play a huge role. And also, it's important to note that the portal exemplifies south-south and triangular cooperation on projects and activities. This is not just limited to one region or one area or one direction of capacity building. To look more closely at what we submitted to the OEWG, obviously you can go to the OEWG website, but you can also scan this QR code, and that's easier probably, so please do that, and you can get more information about that. Go to slide 5. So, it's important, we thought it as an article of faith from the beginning to make sure we're collaborating and coordinating with other portals, and this is indeed why we've been working with Unidir really for a long time to make sure this happens, to make sure that we're sharing information and it's available to the community, because having data in various stovepipes is not very valuable if the community doesn't see it or know about it. So since its inception, we have been committed to collaborating with existing portals to avoid, again, duplication, which is really our mantra. It's really why we were put in place in the first place. In 2021, in the spirit of knowledge sharing and greater coordination, we started working more closely with other forums. For example, we led within the Internet Governance Forum, an open forum with a fantastic panel of portal owners sharing experiences and avenues for collaboration. So recognizing that there are lots of different portals out there. Some are more advanced than others, but how can we bring these together? In 2022 is when we started our collaboration and really serious conversations with Unidir on how to enhance information sharing between Unidir and the Sybil portal, and very excellent cyber policy portal they have, as you've seen. And I really commend the searching functions they have. Similarly, the GFC portal you can search by country, you can search by topic, you can search by region. And this really gives you a good idea of what's going on if you have a specific area, and you can search by topic as well, a particular area. As we've seen during the live demo earlier, it really integrates data from the Sybil portal with the cyber policy portal under a dedicated section. We think that's really going to be valuable to the entire community. On the Sybil side, we have also included direct links to the national profiles on the cyber policy portal, so users looking at a particular cyber policy document can get a snapshot both of what's happening in capacity building, but can navigate seamlessly between the two portals. And I will tell you that's not an easy thing. I think when we first had the discussion with Unidir, we said, oh, we could do this maybe in a couple weeks. No. Just the technical hurdles of making that link happens. Surprisingly hard, but really worth every hour, I think, of the work that's gone into it. And there was a lot of work that went into it. But it really typifies this important area of making the tools we have more effective for capacity building. That we all know we have limited resources. How can we make those resources the most effective as possible? And I'd like to highlight that this is exactly the kind of cooperation that we mentioned in the ACRA call for cyber resilient development. And Action 12 in that document, if I don't expect you to have the document in your pocket like I do, but if you have it, maybe I should print up little cards that people have. But Action 12 urges stakeholders to, quote, utilize existing platforms to better coordinate and deconflict cyber capacity building, financing, and actions, a goal that strongly aligns with the discussions you're having here in the OEWG. And we look forward to our continued collaboration with Unidir and to continue improving the Sybil portal based on your feedback, as I said earlier, in input. So finally, to close, I'd like to invite everyone here to visit the portals, both ours and Unidir's, and see how they interrelate, and also, as I said, give us suggestions. Familiarize yourself with the portals, and if you have questions or updates, if you want to give us updates, great. That's exactly what we want. Get in touch with us through the contact form or through emailing contact@sybilportal.org, which is our contact number, and we can make sure that that's your updates are uploaded. If you have questions, same thing. We'd love to make sure we have a collaborative and two-way conversation with you. And we're also, much as Unidir did, happy to arrange demos, tutorials for your team, guide you through the process of using the Sybil portal and supplying information to it. So all these portals are only as good as all of you both using them and contributing to them. And we are incredibly pleased that we have this linkage. It really, I think, sets a huge it just sends a great message. It really does, of how we can collaborate, multi-stakeholder organizations, UN and state organizations. It's exactly the kind of collaboration we're going to need going in the future. So thank you. Thank you to Unidir and your team, and thank you to my team at GFC, and thank you to all of you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. On that note, no, I think it is great, and I mean, it's true that it took quite a while to get to where we are today, but at the same time, for us, this is a new point of departure, not necessarily a point of arrival, because now the easy part of making the two platforms talk is done. Now we need to make sure that the information that is included is up to date, but we can't do that alone. So this is also a call to all of you to make sure that you help us help you by sharing information when you have it. We're now kind of transitioning to the second part, which is really hearing from the distinguished speakers that we have here on the panel, their perspectives on the topic, on the importance of information sharing. And we'll start with Ambassador Richard Kadlec, the Director of the Cybersecurity Department and Special Envoy for Cyberspace at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic. Ambassador, please.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I think that my main role here is that I am a very strong supporter of this, especially Unidir cybersecurity portal. We have been collaborating with Unidir for long and really appreciate it. To be honest, in 2018, 2019, I had an idea that would be good for me, for my department, to have something like that. So at first I tried to have some interns who tried to search in internet, but it didn't work. So it's homemade work is not possible here. It needs really professionals. I found them. So then we cooperated together. And we start to fulfill it with the information about Czech Republic. Firstly, it was first some exercise at home, what we have, what we should provide, and if everyone agree, other organizations agree with it, and so on. So it took place. Now it works. I think that the main point is that this Unidir portal is definitely CBM's, as mentioned in the annual progress report, and as is quite clear, because there is everything inside. If it is complemented by POC directory, I think it would be excellent database for people to communicate. It has many functions, and we had a nice presentation of what you can find inside. But from my perspective, for Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we use it as simplest as possible. This is the main tool how we can prepare for my chief, for minister, for others, for meetings, how to instruct embassies. So for us, if we have some bilateral consultation, it's very good that if we instruct embassies to prepare some meetings and so on, it's very easy to instruct them. You can find everything there. You don't need to search in internet. You have all basic points there. So first of all, it's for our internal work. It helps us to prepare for different meetings. Then we use it, of course, in preparation of capacity building and the capacity building area, which is very important for the Czech Republic. So when we organize some meetings, usually this is the basis. We don't need to start to exchange with others about main strategies and so on. So Colombian delegation mentioned today, I very gratitude for that, the Czech government project, 1 week exercise of capacity building in Czech Republic. We really had very intensive discussions in many different institutions. This is our model, how we now try to approach to capacity building, to discuss with countries and to prepare 1 week stay in Czech Republic with different areas. But we don't need to start from the scratch. We really have some basis and we can then continue on it. So aside of Colombia, this year we had the same 1 week exercise with Ghana, with Senegal, with Indonesia, with other countries. But it's really useful as a starting point. Of course, it's not only COA, CBMs. That's also other area. We can use it more deeply. So we can, especially now, we try to fulfill, as Lenka asked, this national survey implementation of recommendations of responsible states behavior. So as for if this is developed more, there is another space how we can have more concrete information concerning norms, concerning international law, and so on. But I think that essential is that this database is now how we can really reinforce it is really to fully together with GFCE civil portal, because that's something different. Civil portal is about projects, about some different information, but to have it together, I think that's exactly how we can move. So this is things we would like strongly support in the future as well. Of course, we heard and we listened very carefully about some proposals of some countries how to prepare some portal. For us, it's really important to use what we already have, and let's try to find some synergies with some ideas of other states to put it together to have the strong basis. For us, this is the basis for next development. Me personally, what I'm looking forward is that UNIDIR has been working on a portal, and Lenka mentioned it, by the way, the same portal for artificial intelligence. This is the area inevitably we will follow in this direction. So that's another point we definitely will discuss here later. Doesn't matter in which format we will meet in New York after 2025, but this is the area we can coordinate in some way. So for me, I would like to thank very much for UNIDIR, for GFCE, and that this is something we would like really to elaborate more. And Czech Republic, as I said in the beginning, we are very strong supporters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for the kind words. I'm now giving the floor to Ms. Emanuela Darkwa, the Senior Manager for International Cooperation at the Cybersecurity Agency of Ghana. Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Greetings on behalf of the Director General of the CSA, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to share Ghana's perspective on how this can support building cyber resilience and cyber capacities as well. Thank you to the GFC and to UNIDIR for such great work on this. So I'll share a brief statement on this, and then hopefully it can guide our conversation, I guess. As cyber threats continue to evolve in sophistication and scale, collaborative and transparent efforts among member states are becoming very important and very crucial, as we've seen during the discussions at this open-ended working group. Recognizing the pivotal role of information sharing and data exchange in fortifying our collective defense, it is useful that the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research and the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise are spearheading such a groundbreaking and timely initiative, which is in the long run will contribute to our global cybersecurity efforts. This collaborative effort marks a pivotal step towards bolstering global cybersecurity through the integration of capacity building data, bringing together the wealth of knowledge housed in the UNIDIR portal, Cyber Policy Portal, and the GFC's CyBIL portal. Ladies and gentlemen, I trust that this portal will contribute to enhancing the global understanding of cybersecurity landscape. This collaboration will further contribute to awareness raising about existing capacity building projects, tools, and resources, fostering a more informed approach to addressing cyber threats on a global landscape. It's useful to know that this initiative will promote transparency by providing a consolidated and easily accessible platform that will showcase almost 900 capacity building projects and activities. This in itself is a useful opportunity to learn best practices and will be a useful confidence building measure. Transparency is also crucial for building trust among nations and organizations, facilitating a more open and accountable approach to cyber capacity building efforts. The significance of information sharing in cyber capacity is very crucial, noting that it enables the dissemination of threat intelligence among cybersecurity professionals and organizations. I know this will be a useful tool for Ghana, especially the Cybersecurity Authority. This timely exchange of information will allow for us, I hope, as well as other people, to have early detection and warning of emerging cyber threats, help entities prepare and implement proactive security measures to mitigate potential risk, and furthermore, in the event of a cybersecurity incident, the ability to share information about the nature of the attack, tactics, techniques, and procedures, TTPs, employed by threat actors is crucial. Such information helps in developing effective incident response strategies and enhancing a collective ability to mitigate and recover from cyber attacks swiftly. It is impossible to overestimate the significance of information sharing in promoting increased transparency in cyber capacity building initiatives, as it serves as a foundational pillar for building trust, accountability, and effective collaboration within the global cybersecurity community. On capacity building, Ghana has been an advocate for the need for capacity building initiatives since the inception of the National Cybersecurity Secretariat, that was in 2017. And through the Safer Digital Ghana campaign, through our international cooperation efforts with institutions like the GFC, FOC, Council of Europe, and many others, we continue to see firsthand how important capacity building helps a country in putting in place measures to strengthen our cyber resilience. To conclude, this collaborative efforts led by the UNIDIR and the GFC underscores the critical importance of information sharing and data exchange in addressing the complex and evolving challenges of cybersecurity in our interconnected world. I also like and support Richard's points of considerably integrating this with the POC directory. That will be very useful. As we navigate an era shaped by digital connectivity and technology advancement, we need to have a collective action, and platforms like this will be very crucial. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And dearest on the table, last but not least, we'd like to hear from Sharifa Rashida Syed Othman, the Director of Policy and International Cooperation of the National Cybersecurity Agency of Malaysia. Please.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for having me. The problems of being the last speaker, everyone has taken all your points. So what I'm going to, I think, share my views here is I would like to congratulate UNIDIR and GFCE because of the initiative to see the importance of streamlining things, because we talk about information sharing, we talk about data. There are a lot of data that you need to consume, to process, and our discussions, we know that, yes, we want to tackle the issues of cybersecurity in the framework of responsible state behavior, but at the same time, there are pockets of things that happen all around you that connects together, whether we like it or not. Cybersecurity that we talk today here, information here, it does not exist in vacuum. So it will also be beneficial to other stakeholders that may not have a direct interest or direct impact with the framework of responsible states behavior. But I believe that the elements that have been indicated by the speaker earlier, for example, we heard about one-stop shop, that is good. We heard about how to make things easier, how to support. We want to avoid duplications. We also, avoid duplication, because we have so many things to do with very limited resources in terms of people, and that really can connect the dots. I think this is the exercise that we try to do all these years and step by step. And I mean, it is not something that is a shock that there is a 2 portals, or eventually will be 3 or 4. But how we want to make it together connects the dot. One thing that I've learned in terms of application development or developing portal is how do you ensure the stickiness, meaning that you need to ensure the stickiness of the portal, both Sybil and Unidir. And one day, probably we will have another portal to look at it. How do you ensure not only the portals can talk together or streamline together with no one duplication? The other part is sending different informations or will make more confusing. So it goes back to how we want to ensure we connect the dot and ensure the stickiness of all of the information's initiative that we tried to do. So that is another thing that I think we should think and work together and see how it best for us to move forward. And another part that I'm not sure what is going to be in future and how it's going to turn out, probably it looks like a tenant. If you develop an apps, there are tenants of Sybil, tenants of Unidirs, and how the bigger picture of us pushing everything together. One day, maybe one day, we can connect the elements of what you say, Emmanuel, the TTPs, where the technical things can associate with the behaviors. And we listen about the AI. AI is a powerful tool where it can learn. There are elements of getting information and digest that in such a way where we may have new, meaningful informations when we manage to connect the dots and work together towards a data exchange. Data here is not garbage data, data that has been cleaned up, verified, a data that is useful. So we will see, I think, a lot more targeted plan. And with the real data, whether it will also give the meaningful impact to what we want to focus on. I mean, yesterday and today we heard about the need of capacity building so much, but how do you measure it? And when you talk about states to measure impact in terms of capacity building, it really needs to complement of what we are doing here and what the states have at national level. Then only you can really measure the percentage of, for example, a state need a capacity building they have identified. They need probably, because they are going to do digital ID, for example, you need a lot of penetration tester to make sure between one apps to another apps, there are no vulnerabilities. So the numbers of states that needs to do that may be different than the states have already have a matured numbers of expertise. I mean, in this regard, I'm talking about penetration tester, but goes back to the elements that we speak about international law and what, to what extent. So measuring the impact will also give good things once we actually can connect the dots and really bring things together. And it goes back to ensuring the stickiness, because if you have all the big and good things in the world, but no one really goes there. That's the challenge in terms of technology. So how you want to bring everyone's, and we listen about how Ambassador explained, you use the portals to do that. So in this regards, how do we go back to the national level and really encourage people to see, and the more you use technology in this regards, portals, and the more you do all the search and whatnot, the more suggestion, the more continuous development you will see to make sure that this thing can sustain. And of course, it goes back to the building up what we have spoken about, the culture of security. Okay, I will stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind words as well. There are two quick things I would like to do before giving you the chance to intervene from the floor. First, we were supposed to have another speaker that was unfortunately called to another meeting, but we managed to extract a quote from him before it was... so you can read it on the screen. This is a quote from Dr. Kaleem Ousmani, the head of CERT in Mauritius. And I'm just going to read for the benefit of those that are following online or too far from the screen. So, emphasizing that information sharing is key to building cyber resilience at both individual and organizational levels, we welcome the data exchange initiative between UNIDIR Cyber Policy Portal and GFC CBIL Portal. As the tool to drive and establish a proper mechanism for sharing information builds confidence, this collaborative effort is a significant step towards fostering global cooperation to strengthen our collective capacity to address cyber threats. So, here you go. Thank you, Dr. Usmani, for very powerful quote. We're definitely going to reuse that in the future. And then the last thing I wanted to say, of course, and I had to write it down because there are so many, and I want to make sure that I don't forget anyone. As you know, UNIDIR is a voluntary funded organization, so throughout the years, the portal, if the portal has become what it is today, is only thanks to the generous support that we received from our donors. I'm just going to list them in alphabetical order. Australia, Canada, the Czech Republic, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the Netherlands, Norway, Switzerland, UK, and Microsoft. So the list is very long. We hope it's going to keep growing because this is really powerful. This is a little exercise, a memory game. If you can remember which QR code corresponds to which tool. You know, on a Friday afternoon, we thought we would do that. No, just kidding. I mean, you can access any tool using any of those QR codes, so don't worry about it. It's fine. But now I would like to give you the floor and give you the opportunity to make a comment. And when you do so, please introduce yourself for the benefit of everyone.
And I should just quickly thank our donors too, which many of the same countries and organizations, you know, the Netherlands, the UK, the US, Singapore, Australia. I don't want to leave people out. Germany. There's a lot, and we're really grateful for all their support because you need resources to do this kind of thing. I mean, I want to emphasize it again. You have to have a dedicated team just to keep a portal going.
Thank you, Chris, and that's why I wrote them down, because otherwise I was going to forget someone. Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen, and we can now open the floor. Please.
I'm Sivanan Sivamohan from the Mission of Malaysia here in New York. First off, I'd like to thank UNIDIR and the GFC, as well as our distinguished panelists, for giving us a very helpful overview of the UNIDIR Cyber Portal and the GFCE CBIL Portal. With reference to the UNIDIR portal, I noticed on the fact sheet that there is also a reflection of the initiatives undertaken by international and regional organizations, including ASEAN. And one thing that my delegation has seen over the course of the last 2 years under the present OEWG is that in our efforts to promote cross-regional exchanges and expertise, this kind of data is certainly very helpful. And we've seen this have a tangible impact, for example, through the establishment of the Global Points of Contact Directory. And ASEAN member states were able to contribute to some extent to that process by drawing on what we had done in the ASEAN Regional Forum. So I wonder if our colleagues from UNIDIR can maybe expand a little bit on the role of this aspect of the portal, and how you would encourage member states to make best use of the information that is there. And also, I suppose, if it comes to updating the data that currently is available, you would go through the Secretariat. So maybe just a little bit of information. And again, thank you very much for all of this. And we look forward to optimizing the UNIDIR portal. And this is another theme that we've heard, as mentioned by some of our speakers as well, leveraging on scarce resources, optimizing existing platforms. And definitely it looks like there is already a lot of work that is done here that member states can build on, particularly in terms of capacity building.
Thank you. We'll take a few more comments and then we'll come back to you. Please, Ingvar in the back.
Also, Ingmar Snabili from the Netherlands delegation. Sorry. No, big thanks to you, Giacomo, to Unidir, GFCE, and the panelists. It's very interesting. You asked in the beginning for praise, and now I have to say, after a very long week that I had hoped would finish this afternoon, but doesn't, it becomes increasingly harder to get my enthusiasm going for anything. But I genuinely do get very enthusiastic by something like this. We don't get often to work on such very practical things in our work, and I think this is a really good example of leveraging each other's efforts and kind of synergizing and finding these practical solutions. And here I would really echo also what Rashida said, that sort of these synergies, that's really key. It's key. I think it's also symbolic for, I think, what we need to achieve in our work in the room. And I would really sort of encourage all of us to continue to think also when we further think about capacity building and different proposals on capacity building, including, of course, the Indian proposal on a portal, that we also really think on how can we kind of bring in the things that we need and build on each other's efforts. So a technical solution like this, I was amazed that this is possible. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ingmar. Much appreciated. And yes, I mean, synergies, I think there is a kind of a myth that needs to be a little bit demystified, which is, sometimes synergies are considered to get in the way of the individual value that each tool can bring, but it's not that. So the Sibyl portal will remain the Sibyl portal and everything that it does. The policy portal will remain the policy portal with everything that it does. It's just that together, it offers a better solution. So that, to me, that's key. We didn't have to kind of alter the nature of our respective tools. We just need to find a way of making them talk to each other, which is a metaphor that could expand to a lot of other domains. Any other comments from the floor before I take a stab at the point? Oh, please.
Also, of course, Chris and Lenk and all the others, Richard, and for the presentations. I join, of course, the praise by Ingmar for this. Really interesting to see, and I think very useful. I just have a question on, because you also have a sheet here on, and you mentioned it, the Artificial Intelligence Policy Portal. Talking about synergies, we have heard so many states talking about artificial intelligence in the threat section, that this is an important aspect we should also address in the open-ended working group related to cybersecurity. How can you or we profit of the synergies between these different portals? I mean, you created a new one now. And of course, artificial intelligence is much broader than just cybersecurity. But how can we then profit if you want to go to the cyber policy portal, for example, looking for elements of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity, which probably are more in the other portal? How do you assure that they also, we can also profit of the synergies there? Do you immediately or automatically transfer the data to both portals, or how are you going to manage that?
Thank you. Very, very good question. I'll come to that as well. And we'll take the last one for this round, and then we'll try to find some time to respond to everyone. Please.
I mean, I can speak louder. I can. Thank you very much for your presentation. I followed it with enthusiasm. Although I analyzed it months ago because Lenka introduced it to me, the Unidir portal. I was interested to find something like when searching by countries, to find like what are their model of a capacity of a cyber officer that build its capacity, or the country took care of building its capacity, like a model one. You know, like there are certain countries that appointed cyber ambassadors, and this is a good example. And Ambassador, it's Kadlchak. It's like your position is envoy for cyberspace, which is more or less the same like ambassador for cyber. Like for example, in our country, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is taking care of cyber discussions, cyber dialogues, but it's only like dispersed or divided. The UN division is taking care of the discussions that are being carried at the level of the UN, and then NATO, then Council of Europe, OSCE as well. But we need like to build more concentrated unit in the country, and especially in the MFA. What I was talking to my leadership every time when I return back from these OEWG sessions was about the importance of appointing this cyber ambassador in the MFAs. Maybe you can think about elaborating something more on the portal, like which country do have these appointed cyber ambassadors? What are their profiles? What they do? What are their action plans, for example? Well, general, but still like a icon of a cyber ambassador. That would help, for example, me to bring arguments to the leadership of the ministry, in order for them to appoint this person that would concentrate everything in one unit, and not like searching for all this information in every department, and not every department, but also agencies, certs, and things like that. I also want to reiterate what Sylvia Toth from OSCE said yesterday, that they made this survey when the point of contact, like asking countries if they will appoint another person or the same person as the point of contact for OSCE and for the UN, for example, in the directory, POC directory. And majority of countries answered that yes. Well, this is like another example that maybe this the portal would include this information as well about the countries, like their point of contacts, and that is very easy to find, like the point of contact, or be it the cyber ambassador or not, from Malaysia or from another country, and to contact them. Like would be like very, very useful, I guess. But you can think about it.
There are plenty of things we can think about, and that will improve. Yes. Ambassador, you wanted to have a quick? Okay, fine. All right. So let me try to take a first stab at these questions, and then Lenka, please intervene if I'm forgetting. Like I probably will something. So, in terms of information on regional organizations, yes, we do have it. We do collect it for a number of regional and other intergovernmental organizations. It is more complicated to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to updating information, simply because different regional organizations are structured differently. Some have a secretariat that is easier to contact than others. Some are just more difficult to reach. So the methodology that Lenka illustrated, which is combining kind of our own research with direct requests for updates and kind of a proactive information sharing of these organizations with us, applies to states as it does to intergovernmental organizations. So if you found this presentation useful and you do belong to a regional organization, please go back and flag it to whoever is responsible, and invite them to check whether the information that we have is up to date, and if not, they can always send us the most recent version.
Can I add something here?
Please.
So on the capacity building front, we just recently at Singapore Cyber Week launched our ASEAN capacity building hub, and we have a person from the region who's in charge of that. So, as we think about populating and continue to populate the civil portal, which feeds into the UNIDIL portal as well, one of the jobs of that person is to work with ASEAN and with the member states of ASEAN to make sure that they're pooling and having a regional presence, which is really important. So, if you don't know that person already, we'll put you in touch with that person, and I think that will be very helpful, because we want to keep these things updated. And the whole point of having that hub there is really to work with both ASEAN and the various countries, and to be a more demand-driven approach rather than to say, oh, we think they might need this, but actually find out what's going on.
Thank you, Chris. On the second question about the synergies between cyber and AI, we discussed this at length. First of all, for now, you can move from one to the other quite seemingly. They're connected through a simple link. The idea that we have to balance accessibility with information overload, because there is the risk that if you're providing too much, then it becomes difficult to navigate. So for now, the direction in which we are going is at the portals level, where portals provide links to sources and summaries. We will keep the two separate, perhaps with links between the two portals. At the database level, which is the kind of the document repository where you can search for content and not just for summaries, we're exploring the possibility of creating one single kind of digital library, if you want, for both cyber and AI, and leaving the user the opportunity to filter what kind of information they want to see. We are assuming that if you're going from the portal to the database, you are already interested in the level of detail that the database is offering, and therefore adding another filter is not going to complicate too much. On the last point, right now on the portal you can find under structures, you can find different arrangements that states have from the agency level down to departments, units, and even individuals. In addition to that, and that is, is compiled like everything else. In addition to that, there is also part of the survey of national implementation. There is a section that allows states to nominate, or share with us additional information. It hasn't happened yet, and I think now with the decision of establishing a global POC directory, we will need to understand how that development is going to go before we can explore how we can integrate the two things. But in the meantime, again, you don't need to wait until that has been launched. If you already want to start sharing information that you don't see already reflected in the national profile, you can do that either directly or by using the survey. The survey gives you full control. You don't have to fill it all. You can choose which parts. You can choose if you want to keep it for yourself or if you want to share it. You have full control over the survey. We think that of all the things that we've done so far, it's probably the most underutilized tool that we have, at least publicly. We know many states have used it internally as a way of collating information to then prepare their reports to the SG or do their own national self-assessments. We still haven't found many takers when it comes to sharing that information more publicly. So that is also something for you to consider.
Yeah, and just to add on to the on the roles and responsibilities. So a couple of things. One, there's under Working Group 1, there's a diplomacy task force in the GFC that helps and also collects some information about this. In the portal, you can search for cyber diplomacy, and there's some courses that have been done. Diplo, among others, have done some really good courses for cyber diplomats. But then, in terms of how different countries are doing this, look, I was the first dedicated cyber diplomat in 2011. There wasn't, and now there are 45 around the world. So you're right; they have different formulations. You're quite right, but it's been elevated more and more in foreign ministries, and that's a really good thing. And the reason we did it in the U.S. back is exactly the thing you talked about: the fragmentation, where you had all the different, I remember our State Department used to send 6 different people from different bureaus to a White House meeting when I was, and that made no sense. Right, and so it really helps to elevate that. So what I'd say, just also on a personal level, if there's anything we can do to try to help your ministry think about this, and I think this is the wave of the future. I think more and more countries are seeing this as the wave of the future, to elevate this in the foreign ministry, because it's an incredibly important voice, as you've seen here.
Thank you. We're running out of time, but I don't know if there are... Oh, please.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to react to what you said. I will start with myself. That's the least important point, but just explain our system. Practically, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any difference, but theoretically, as lawyers explain, there is some difference. So I'm special envoy. As a position, I can talk on behalf of minister. So that's the reason why we have this function. It's not only for cyberspace, for other areas it's as well, but that means only me. I am at the same time I'm director of cyber diplomacy department, which is on the system not so big position, but I have people. I have team. I can work exactly. Secretariat. I have team. So I need. For me, nobody cares who in practice, but in theoretical, this is the distinction. But what I think is important, what you mentioned, is the different systems in different countries. I think this is now very intensive discussion in many countries. And this discussion is extremely complicated and difficult. I would suggest maybe UNIDIR or GFCE to organize the next seminar for this topic, because there are any ministry is different. There is development. In our case, my department changed the name this year, and maybe will change another name next year as well. But in principle, they are. What I see is about 3-4 lines which are essential. First one is the discussion. The cyber versus disinformation, because originally we wanted to care only about security, not about content. So disinformation was part. We didn't want to be connected with cybersecurity department. In practice now, it's almost impossible. So we are trying to find some way. So this is the first line. Second line is cyber versus digital, because we try to do cyber, but in discussion, especially when we discuss capacity building with other countries, it's immediately connected with digital. It's connected with connectivity with other countries, with ITU and other organizations. Again, it's not possible to keep it or totally separate. It must be some way connected. Another point is cyber versus technologies, because that's maybe what Dan mentioned. For me, this AI is a bit different than cyber as for legislation and as for processes. So I'm not scared about 2 lines in UNIDIR portal. But in principle, those technologies are very close connected and should be connected in our work some way. Again, it's difficult to say how to do it. And more importantly, it's not only artificial intelligence or quantum computing we are talking. I think for the future, it will be biotechnology, neuroscience, and so on. So the threat is not only increasing capacity of computers because of new algorithms of AI and quantum computing, but also understanding of human system, which has impact on human rights and so on. So those 2 things needs to be anyway keep together. And how to organize it in a system of ministry, I think it's really a big conundrum we have to really discuss for long. What I see as also important is that as for cybersecurity, there is no any lines. I don't need what I have in Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's not totally new agenda. It's agenda connected with everyone else. So I need UN department, development department, EU department, others together to share it. So I need them. It's not about dividing the job. It's about to find some synergies or together. Again, not easy always, but I think here many countries have this discussion on Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I think that are discussing the internal structure. But I think it's important, and it's important also for clarification the mandate of our group for the future and the development in this area. Thank you.
Thank you. I really would like to give you at least 20 minutes to stretch your legs before you have to go back. There was one urgent question from the back. Please be concise, and then I'll give you an equally concise answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Only one comment. We are not able to align many other things across globe. So my advice is really to work with this portal, which I consider as a great activity, really as a great activity, to continue searching for a way how to be able to implement any kind of organizational scheme from any country. And frankly, it's not only about ministries of foreign affairs, in many countries, Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the end is responsible only for small part of cyber, and even not sometimes cyber, just the opening door on the international level. And cyber is doing somebody else. If in such a situation you will have anything like single point of contact, you may end up with a situation where somebody will do filter within that country because that single point of contact has different opinion than the rest of the country. So it's very complicated topic. Thank you.
Thank you. No, certainly we're looking forward to see how this is going to proceed or affect also the network, the directory of POCs going forward. With that, I thank you very much for coming here and for engaging, and have a great end or final session of this OWG. Thank you.